you know, I want you guys to watch what happens in the future. Okay? Me personally, I'm going to pull back on a few things. I think the people generally, and didn't realize that the audience is this dense, but I think people are also at a saturation point with this Rock Nation thing. You know what it is. I don't have to keep beating the dead horse. Fine. Let's stop talking about it. But what you're going to realize, and this is the most important thing, I don't care, and I see everybody has these think pieces, right? Like everybody has these think pieces on the sit down with me and Charlamagne. Regardless of what you think about that, it still does not change the point that the current consensus about Rock Nation is that they are Israel. People don't like them. People are seeing through the bullshit. People see through the manipulation. And no matter what that sit down, whatever you thought about it, didn't think about it, or whatever you thought it intended, or even did, the problem that Rock Nation has is that they have to try to change the narrative, and they haven't. They're not seen as the good guys. So they're going to send out these shills. They're going to send out these mouthpieces. They're going to send out these puppets to basically try to convince the public. Now, what I realized with that Charlamagne conversation, a lot of the public isn't informed, right? I'll give Charlamagne one thing. I think he did a great and masterful job by using the information that people weren't going to be knowledgeable of. And then, by the way, he's done this before, right? He does it to Dame when he does it to Kanye. He's like, yo, damn, man, like, are you okay? Not gonna lie, it was one of the most disrespectful things I've ever experienced in my career. Like someone, the idea that, respectfully, the idea that someone like Charlamagne, who, if you listen to Charlamagne on the Breakfast Club, that nigga can't even read a spell, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, if that's the nigga telling me I'm Looney Tunes, it's disrespectful to me just on an IQ level. But fine, he's a media professional, and I do give that to him. But separate and aside from that, right? They have to try to fix this narrative. The narrative is about Jay, and I keep telling you the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that Jay-Z wants to make these big ass moves, and he can't do it with his reputation in dirt. People are seeing through the shit. People are calling it out. As long as people could see this Rock Nation like nefarious element, Jay-Z can't get off any finesse. He just did all these shows. You don't think he wants to make an announcement of some big business deal that he wants all y'all to support, but he can't do it no more. And I think that's the problem. As long as people are knowledgeable of all of the things, or at least the nefariousness of some of how they're moving, it won't work. So they're sending everyone out. Okay, why did I say all that? Well, I said all that because, as I said, you know what? If people aren't that knowledgeable, I've done a great enough job. I think Nicki did a good job. Drake even said the jig is up. Cool. Now you got to let them fight among themselves. And right on cue was Peter Rosenberg, or as I call him, Rosendweeb, getting at Ebro about, he said, they were talking about the discussion with me and Charlamagne. They say, I'm going to be honest with you, I was shocked that Charlamagne really is in some type of business with Rock Nation. The oddest thing I've ever seen is that Ebum, a guy who has hated Charlamagne for decades, basically comes to the aid of Charlamagne, but it doesn't seem like he's coming to the aid of Charlamagne. Seems like he's actually coming to the aid of, or he's playing interference, as I've always said, for the idea of people working with Rock Nation, and he throws Rosendweeb under the bus by saying, you're broke. That's why you don't understand why Charlamagne is working with Rock Nation. That was the interesting twist. I'm going to play the video here for you guys. I'll tell you this, chat. The war wages on. It's on new fronts now. So, still no surrender, no retreat. The Charlamagne conversation, the Kaepernick lie. I'll be honest. I think definitely, the game has changed, The game has changed. I'll leave that there for now, but all right, let me see what's going on. No, I'm good. I'm chilling. No, I'm just telling you for the future, we're going into unprecedented time. The biggest lesson I learned from that Charlamagne conversation is that sometimes you could talk above people's heads and you could talk above board. Like, for example, Drake is going through a million things. And if Drake ever vocalized that, you'd be like, wow, okay, you could clearly, well, if you follow all the info, you'd be like, okay, now I see where this war is. You see the chess pieces, you see the movements, right? But I'm going to be honest with you. The greatest probably media trick I've seen in a while is the one that Charlamagne did, which is gaslight, deny, put you out on a limb to say, no, this person is out there, And I think that's why Drake also stays quiet. It's not time to talk. I know a lot of people want a Drake interview, but me and him, we did some stuff. We didn't do a sit down, but like he's part of my vlog, and it's almost like a quasi whatever, but it's probably not coming out. At least not now. Me and him, we agreed. Just Iceman was doing good. It's not time for Drake to talk. The more you talk, the more they try to bury you. You know what I mean? They try to, this guy's losing it. You talk and defend yourself. At least in music, it sounds good. You talk and defend yourself. They say you're manic. They say you're losing it. This guy's making stuff up. He thinks that everybody aligned against him. So you just got to let it play out. But we're playing on a different playing field at this point. The oppositions are dispatching bots, which they supposedly claim we have. And I say we collectively. They're making up fake websites. They're distressing and sending fake lawsuits. It's very interesting. So, in time, I think all will matter. But I will tell you this. You'll kind of realize I'll take the page out of Drake's book. Some of this stuff I'll just kind of let evaporate into the air. I see the radio hosts fighting over the affiliations. Y'all seen them, right? It was the Ebro and the other guys like, yo, who's affiliated? It's like, then he said, no, nigga, you're broke. That was crazy. That was insane. He said, no, nigga, you don't got no money to invest. That was an ouch moment. But nevertheless, I trust enough people are smart. There's this idea that if you discredit, distract, if you disown and disavow the biggest and the loudest of the critics, it'll be fine. I don't think that works. While I think there's a group of people in the audience that you could spit in the air and they'll be like, oh, wow, I think that's rain. There's still enough people who are intellectually savvy that value integrity and just could do a little bit of research enough to figure out like, okay, something here stinks. And that's kind of where we're at with it now. You know what I mean? I kind of finally realized why Nicki Minaj has been quiet. You got to be quiet now. You know why? Because what was expected was Nicki to have a meltdown from the freestyle where she's like just launching these bombs of accusations that people could actually say. Ironically, I'll tell you this. It was through this. Actually, I probably just should keep that info. I got interesting info. This is when I realized, people are doing the surveillance stuff. They claim that there's a doctor diagnosis, and I'm going to leave it light because I want the barbs to do too much with this. Basically a diagnosis of Nicki Minaj and I was like, how do y'all know this? But it's the first time, obviously when it comes to like Kanye says he's bipolar, but I've never heard Nicki say like and these people who claim they know nothing about investigations or they know enough, but not really, they said that, hey, the doctors diagnosed her. That was a little odd. I'm like, how would they get that info? Okay. But nevertheless, I do think Nicki's smart. I think Nicki's pulled back. Pull back with the point has already been made. You pull back with like some of these accusations because in reality, people they're not gonna get it. They're not gonna get it, right? Like when Nicki's mentioning certain things that are just kind of happening to her, it's gonna seem a little cuckoo for everybody else, but we'll see. I will tell you the war continues. There's daily things that's happening. Daily. And not just necessarily to me. I think I'm the symptom to the illness or the perceived illness. But pray for Drake. I'll just say that. Pray for Drake. But anyway, do I have anything else with yeah, man, I'm broke. I feel like Rosenberg or Rosendweeb. Yo, the dude looked at him and said, "You a bitch ass nigga, you broke." That was crazy. That was crazy, huh? Uh-huh. See, that's someone who just doesn't get it. Somebody said, "So, Ak, you're saying you got humbled." Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. If anything, I took a page out of Jay-Z's book. You need to dumb down for the audience. So if something is too complicated, don't even mention it. That's it. The integral details of what's going on, because if you speak at a level where people don't have the background knowledge, they aren't keeping up with it, and they're finding out for the first time, in a PR sense, that doesn't look good. So good. As I said, the war continues. It continues on many fronts. All right. We're watching it before our very eyes. And for me, I look at it and I say, well, it's only a matter of time. Well, number one, the jig is really up, but it's a matter of time before people start seeing these interconnectivity. The interconnectivity tissue that links all of this is that you see two radio hosts who are legacy radio hosts. They're now on the internet, but nobody watches them. They have the biggest fight of their career while talking about exactly. So that was an interesting fight. I kind of want to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to save it for the mainstream.